Hi, welcome back to The Independence. Obamacare has been nothing short of a total disaster so far. Way to go, statists! Reason senior editor Peter Suderman has documented every terrifying misstep better than any other political analyst working today. So what makes this colossal crap fest such a failure, Peter?
Everything. Let's just go with everything. This entire year has been marked by two things when it comes to Obamacare. The administration mismanaged the rollout and they lied about it. And so at pretty much every stage, they've botched the actual implementation. The technology doesn't work. The bureaucratic administration was bad. They just haven't really gotten anything right. And then at the same time, all throughout, they've been lying about it. They kept promising that they were on track to get all of this rolled out on schedule, that everything was going to work fine. Then once it came out in October and the exchanges launched, they said, oh, no, it's just going to be a few hours. It'll be a few days. It'll be a few weeks. And every time they said that it was about to work, it didn't.
Yeah, and you not only had the problems with the exchanges and the technology, but you had the sticker shock when people realized that they were paying more for free insurance than they had ever bargained for when Obamacare was just a theory.
That's right. You've seen what you've seen here is that people are actually getting kicked off of the insurance that they have and that they like, despite Obama's repeated promise, 36 times on camera, that if you like your insurance, you can keep it. And so people are getting kicked off. And then because of the technological problems, they're unable to get new insurance. And if they can get through the exchange gauntlet online, they're finding out that in many cases, the insurance that they can get is more expensive or in some cases not as good as their previous insurance. So it's just pretty much a total botch in every possible way.
Yeah, I lost my insurance, and they're finding it's not as good, it's more expensive, and not only can you not keep your insurance, which PolitiFact judged as the biggest lie of 2013, if you like it, you can keep it. He said the same thing about your doctor. People lost their doctors as well. And, you know, it's not just healthy 25, 26-year-olds. We're talking about chemotherapy patients, patients who have chronic conditions, who need constant medical care. They're hosed.
Now, Peter, the narrative on the right has been pretty consistently repeal and replace. The replace portion of that has been a little more flaccid. What do you think we ought to be replacing this system with? I know you weren't happy with the status quo before.
What I would say is that replace is a hard thing, and Republicans are working on it in some ways. They're not maybe working on it as hard as I would like them to be. What I would like to see is a system, broadly that focuses on meeting the needs of the truly poor rather than on middle-class insurance subsidies and on meeting them well. Medicaid, which was expanded under Obamacare, really is the worst form of insurance in some cases on some specific health maladies. People on Medicaid consistently actually do worse than people with no insurance at all. And so what we really need to do if we're going to reform the system is look at ways to help the actually needy, actually poor, and actually sick, that group of people, rather than trying to build out systems, that help in many cases middle-class people who, under Obamacare, you're eligible for insurance subsidies if you make up to 400% of the poverty line. For a family of four, that's about $90,000 a year.
Peter, what happens to Obamacare next, technically, over January and February and March of this year? How's it going to roll out? What are the next shocks to the system?
We're going to see two things. One is that we are going to see doc shock. We've talked about this a little bit already, which is that people who are getting this new coverage through Obamacare are going to find out that in many cases the networks that they're on, that they're transferred to, just don't have the doctors that they used to have or the hospitals. The other thing that we're going to see is that the enrollment numbers just aren't going to be meeting the administration's targets. The administration had targeted getting 7 million people signed up for private coverage through the law by the end of March this year. It's really unlikely, given the slow start, that they're actually going to hit that target. And so we're going to have to figure out what that means for the future of the law.
All right, Peter Suderman, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you'll be here in studio, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Take that, Acela. All right, thanks, man. And happy Christmas, New Year, Kwanzaa, and whatever celebratory winter season you enjoy. So, Obamacare. I get a little upset seeing conservatives so gleeful about its failure. And Camille, you've brought this up time and time again. There really isn't a system to replace it. Peter brings up a great point. This is supposed to be a safety net for the poorest, those most in need. but it was too much of a greedy grab to get insurance for everyone.
Right. Well, and it's because we have a system that is still sort of centrally focused on insurance cover, and insurance and healthcare are not synonymous with one another. They're just not the same thing.
Explain that.
Well, I think when we look at insurance coverage, we're actually looking at the ability to go out and buy stuff without looking at the price tag at all. When we look at healthcare, we're actually looking at the quality of your well-being, and the way that we maintain the two things are not at all the same.
You know, Medicaid, there's a great study in Oregon that has a huge pool of people, some who are on Medicaid, some who are not, poor people, and it's repeatedly show there is no difference. The uninsured and Medicaid, like in terms of outcomes, the biggest difference and the only difference, and this is actually important for making policy, is in their sense of well-being. Like they feel like, okay, I'm insured, so I don't have to worry about something terrible happening. And I think that is the root of one of the two roots of the problems with the healthcare in this industry. I know you've worked as a freelancer for a long time and dealt with your own health insurance. I did too. I got denied coverage several times. Nothing pissed me off more than that system where you couldn't acquire your own health, and you feel like, okay, a car could run me over and that's it. I'm going to bankrupt my family. I don't want to have that kind of thing. So instead of going after that in a meaningful way, they didn't want to break the root of healthcare, which is that because of World War II, we now have the employer dictate your health care coverage. And that there's no real reason at all that your employment situation and your health care should be mixed in any way.
And they've been not only mixed, they've been completely mixed up.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the system that you need to blow up first. Stop the tax advantage for employers to grant people health care. Give that tax advantage, if it exists, to everybody so that they can own their own program.
Just another way to get the government the hell out of health care. All right, very good. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Camille. All these numbers and thinking, it's making my brain pucker. Maybe we should mellow out and talk about the year's most surprising moneymaker, the green rush. The business of marijuana is next.